What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel. So for today's podcast, we have a special guest. We have Narit Rubenstein, who is the CEO and co-founder of Doely. So as a lot of you guys know, a couple months ago, we did video review on credit app that allows you to push a couple buttons and dispute different items on your credit report. And so today we're blessed to have the CEO and co-founder come on and answer some questions and address a couple of the comments that I did see when we posted some of those videos. Welcome to the channel. For those who may not be familiar with the company, as well as maybe your background, can you let the audience know what exactly is Doely and how did you come about with this idea to create this credit repair or credit restoration app?
First of all, Antoine, thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here and ideally touch some of your passionate listeners. So Doely is a fully automated credit solution that, with the goal of being a one-stop shop for everything you need for all your credit needs. So vast majority of the population have errors or issues on their credit. They need help resolving those. Credit is extremely nuanced, extremely difficult to navigate, and very punitive at the same time. And our goal is to create a process where people understand what impacts their credit, how to improve their credit, and facilitate anything we can on their behalf for them. So it's, like you said, a couple clicks, and ideally we can help them improve their credit. We just reran our stats. Our free members see a score improvement of 32 points, and our paid members see an improvement of 79 points within just 6 months. So it's highly effective. We've developed an algorithm that looks at the items on your credit, determines what to dispute, when to dispute, how to dispute. All of that's electronically transmitted. And we're significantly more than just kind of a credit restoration. We provide a lot of education, additional products and services to help you enhance your credit. Coming soon is going to be an AI tool that will be very personalized to what specifically is on your credit, giving you specific tips to improve. Customers have a $1 million ID protection. We're all about holistic credit enhancement and education.
So one of the things that I've noticed, with my own credit journey, right, is when there are inaccuracies on your consumer report, like what's the process about going about having that addressed? And I think for a lot of consumers, unless you're sort of educated on all the different processes and the different steps and what you have to do in order to address some of these inaccurate items on your credit report, I found to be one of the more challenging things. And what I really appreciate about Doely is the fact that you don't necessarily have to be an expert in, credit restoration or how you even interact with these credit reporting agencies. I think for a lot of consumers that's a daunting task, right? Especially when you're busy with everyday life, like trying to learn the process, right? And so I wanted to lead in and ask you, how did this idea come about, and when was this founded, and when did you come up with this idea to create this app?
So the core idea came about. I was hired by a corporation to take over a credit repair company. This was about 8-9 years ago. And I joined the company and I really grappled with the need. I saw so many customers who needed help with a solution, but I hated the way that we were going about solving the solution. It was very expensive. It was very manual. It was even predatory to some degree in terms of calling customers up and trying to persuade them to enroll. I was fortunate enough to meet my co-founder, who is probably top 5 people in the country in terms of knowledge on consumer credit. At the very first lunch him and I had, my first thought was, how do I get this guy's brain into technology to solve this problem for millions of Americans? And that was really the impetus to starting Doely. When we left that company, that's essentially what we aimed to do, was how do we use technology and innovation to take this black box and kind of break it apart piece by piece for consumers and help them get there with very little effort. because when you think of consumer credit, there's really nothing in the world that will impact your financials in a way that is more impactful than your credit, but at the same time is never taught. It's not taught in schools. It's you the only way to really learn about credit is the hard way. And 70% of college educated graduates ruin their credit within 1 year of graduating. That, I mean, it says a lot, right? And so you make a mistake, you have these credit card companies chasing you to get an application, you sign up, you forget to set up auto pay, or you don't know to set up auto pay because you've never done it before. 7 years later, you go to buy a house and you've got a default on a credit card from 7 years ago that's preventing you from doing that. So it's a punitive system. Nobody has the consumer's best interest at heart. There's so many different players that come into the equation here, but nobody is creating a solution with the consumer in mind. And for us, it was technology and innovation to help the consumer. That was the goal in starting Doely. And so it's really what we sought out to do. We took Tennis's brain, we tried to unpack it, dumb it down, and create different rules. And we built an algorithm. And the beauty of an algorithm and machine learning is the more information you get, the better it gets. And so we've been at it now for 5 years at Doely. Previous to that, a lot significantly more than that. And our algorithm is just getting stronger and stronger, and our results are getting better and better. And with every new consumer onto our platform, we get better and better.
Awesome. You kind of almost explained sort of my journey, right? Because I was in that same situation, right? Not being educated on credit, even throughout undergrad and even graduate school, didn't know what a FICO score, didn't really understand the importance of credit. And as a lot of Americans, kind of go through that same path where they learn the lesson the hard way. And then there comes these life circumstances where credit is a major factor and it becomes a hurdle because, it wasn't really maintained to begin with. So what I really appreciate is the fact that Doely is actually able to look at the credit file and then, like you mentioned, using that machine learning algorithm is able to kind of identify, okay, this account is positive, this account is derogatory. It summarizes things for you, and it kind of just allows you to just do a one button click to, get the process initiated in terms of the disputes, right? And so I think for the consumer, you could appreciate that because, you don't necessarily have to figure out, okay, how do I mail these letters out to the credit reporting agencies and things like that. So one question I wanted to follow up, and this is something that a lot of subscribers wanted to know. Does Doely dispute all three credit reporting agencies? And could you actually explain, I know we talked about this previously, but why they're not able to see all three of their reports?
So it's definitely, I would say, a big point of confusion for people, because when you upgrade to our paid plan, we only pull credit from TransUnion. The reason we do that is if you look at anyone else in the space, we have an annual subscription for $100. That's what anyone else in the space is charging for 1 month of service. And the way that we keep our costs low is by pulling data from just one bureau. For us, in order for us to pull data from all three bureaus, we would have to charge significantly more for the customer. And so what we've learned over time is that the vast majority of items will appear on one credit bureau. It's rare. Yes, it happens, but it is rare that you have items on other bureaus that isn't, other than inquiries, that isn't on one of the three bureaus. And so we pull the data from TransUnion, but we use that data to then dispute with all of the credit bureaus. So we do dispute with all the credit bureaus, but we don't actually pull from all three. We are looking at ways, because we see that consumers really want it, to create like an ad hoc way for people to pay in order to get that extra credit report. But we also just tell people you can get the report from the bureaus directly. So the most important thing is to be able to dispute, because that's the really challenging part. And so long as you know your credit with one of the three major credit bureaus, you're probably likely within the ballpark of a few points with the others as well.
Excellent, excellent.
Does that help
Now,
clarify a little bit?
yeah. So a question to follow up with that. So pretty much you're pulling from TransUnion, and based on the information on TransUnion, I guess the assumption that if you have to dispute this account on TransUnion, then likely the same for Experian and Equifax. So the app is in fact disputing with all three, but you're not actually seeing exactly what's on Experian or what's on
Correct.
Equifax. Um,
Correct.
and so with that, I guess, is it also possible, let's say if there's an account that's only on Experian or Equifax, then the consumer won't necessarily have insight into that if they're going through Doely because it's only pulling TransUnion. Is that correct, that there could possibly be something that isn't seen on TransUnion part of the
There
dispute
could.
process?
There could. And the reality is that in today's world, getting a credit report has become table stakes. Every credit card app provides it, Credit Karma provides it. You can get it directly through the credit bureaus. And so we're now working on a process where if you have a dispute on one of the other credit bureaus, you can enter in a few, kind of like, think of it as like a very simple form fill. You'll enter in the account, the dates, and the trade line, and we'll dispute it with the bureau, even if it's not on your TransUnion account. So that's coming soon. But in terms of the actual report and information that we display, it's right now it's TransUnion only.
And just to clarify for the viewer, when you sign up for premium and you're sending the disputes, they are getting sent to all three credit reporting
Absolutely.
agencies. Okay.
All three.
One subscriber did pose a question, and again, I'm not as knowledgeable on the ins and outs, but is there a difference between online disputing versus paper disputing? Like sending
Uh,
in physical letters versus, let's say just using the Doely app.
right. So obviously it's a consumer's right to dispute directly with the bureaus in any way that they want, whether it's letters or fax or even using the bureaus online. A lot of them have an online option to do it themselves. There's two ways in which it's better. So first of all, online is faster. You get the results much
Mhm.
more, much faster. And because when you dispute, if you've tried to dispute with Doely, you'll select a reason and then we ask follow-up questions. Those help us provide more information to the bureaus, which then make it a much faster process because then they know exactly what they're looking for. So by and large, disputing online is going to be faster. The primary benefit, though, is the algorithm, right? Instead of you as an individual saying, I need to dispute this one item, you might have 5 items that you want to dispute. And then the importance comes in on which item should I dispute, in what frequency, in what cadence, what reasons should I select? If it comes back as accurate, can I redispute it? Those are all things that you get by leveraging Doely that you wouldn't get obviously by either mailing a letter or using any manual process online, even if it's online.
Absolutely. And that's a good point because that you mentioned with like the redisputing, right? If something comes back verified, then there's also a sequence of steps in terms of follow up that you have to do. And I guess the more involvement us as consumers have in that process, there's definitely a much higher chance of some type of error, right? Or
Correct.
maybe we get a response in the mail, we don't respond back in a timely fashion. It just kind of eliminates the human error element of the whole
Yeah.
dispute process,
The
which I
bureaus
think
also like to send you mail in like unidentified envelopes so that you end up throwing them away and never looking at them. They have very sneaky ways of trying to go under the radar.
another question I wanted to clarify. A lot of people did ask about credit inquiries. Is that something that could be facilitated through Doely?
So right now we don't dispute inquiries for a number of reasons. First of all, even though they stay on your credit for 2 years, they only impact your credit for 6 months. Second of all, they only impact your credit by a couple of points. And so usually the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So if you dispute, let's say you've got, we recommend 3 at a time, because if you dispute more than 3 items at a time, then the bureaus can flag the account as frivolous and not allow disputes at all, right? So we found the sweet spot to be 3 disputes. So if you're selecting inquiries as one of those, you're probably wasting one of your efforts and you're not going to see much of a benefit. But the primary reason we don't like to dispute inquiries is if you dispute an inquiry and it's then a positive trade line on your credit, then it puts the entire trade line in question. And so if it's a credit card and you have credit utilization from that, that whole utilization might come off of your credit. And so it's a very tricky process that doesn't have a lot of upside. So right now we don't dispute it. We are looking at ways to try and limit the negative impact and see if we can help consumers. But right now, it's not something we do.
I wanted to follow up what you just mentioned about if there's more than 3 disputes, how the credit reporting agencies view that. Can you explain that a little bit? So if someone, for example, has 10 negative items that they want to dispute, how would Doely go about that? Would it just limit it to 3 per submission?
So it does range by, again, that's part of the algorithm. We'll look at the different items and decide, is it 2, is it 3, is it 4, is it 5? On average, it's 3. And so that the bureaus have the ability to mark something as frivolous. If they think that you're frivolously disputing something, it's at their discretion to say this is frivolous. The minute you're flagged as frivolous, they won't accept any more disputes, and then you're kind of stuck in a loophole, which is really bad. We kind of, the analogy we use is some of these credit repair agencies do like a shotgun approach. They just throw everything at the wall and see what'll stick. We're much more of like a sniper. We look at the items, we decide, and then we make sure we attack it right at the center and get it off your credit. It's a more strategic way. A lot of people get frustrated with that because they say, well, why are you only disputing 3? You're just trying to, increase the longevity of us being on your service. That's absolutely not the case. We have seen with our experience in the field that oftentimes when we dispute more than 3 at a time, it makes it more challenging. There's also the item of having open disputes with the bureaus, right? So if you have a current open dispute with the bureaus, you cannot submit an additional dispute. The more items you send, the likelihood that window stays open longer, and then you can't dispute. And so for us, it's about, let's dispute faster, get the results soon, and then quickly send another round of disputes.
There's a ton of different, credit repair, credit disputing, credit restoration, companies and apps out there. And it's interesting because there was one comment that I did see where somebody was working with multiple apps, multiple companies simultaneously, and basically had this idea that I'm just going to enroll in all of these and see which one gets me the results the quickest. But to your point, if there's just so many, disputes that are pending, then from the credit reporting agency standpoint, it looks like you're just, frivolously disputing items.
Right.
So I did like the analogy you mentioned. Instead of just throwing everything at the wall, you guys are a little bit more precise in sort of identifying which items to dispute at each moment in time. So how does that work, for example, with subsequent disputes? Like, do you wait until let's say, for the example I gave, where someone has 10 items, so you might choose 3 this month. Then where do you go in terms of like choosing the remaining items to dispute? Do you wait until there's responses for the first set?
Yeah,
How does that
we have
process work?
to, because the again, like I said, if we don't have the response, the dispute is still pending, which means
Mm-hmm.
no additional disputes can be transmitted. And so we send another round of disputes as soon as we get like results back. The algorithm tees up the next round, and part of that next round is what happened with the first round, right? Did we get something? How many of the items did we get off? For the ones that we didn't get off, what was the reason that it came back verified as accurate? That then kind of gets immediately put back into the algorithm to determine what the algorithm's going to do next.
If someone's using Doely and let's say they're unable to get any movement in terms of change, positive changes on their consumer report, are there any type of like assurances or, and I don't like to use this word, but guarantees when it comes to the disputing process? Is it possible that, certain items may not just, be removed? And, I've seen cases where, for example, it might come off of two of the bureaus, but it just, for
Right.
whatever reason, just sticks to one.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have a 92% success rate, which means 8% of people don't get results, right? The I can't emphasize enough though that we're not just about disputes, and what we see time and again is that customers that are engaged in our services and download the app and log in regularly and take in what we try to feed them in terms of information end up seeing significantly higher results. We don't guarantee because there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees, and a lot of the stuff that happens is we might remove 4 items, but you've added 5, right? And so your credit score will take a dip, even though we've done what we've said we were going to do. I will say that we care tremendously about our members. We want people to have a positive experience, and we try to rectify the situation whenever we can, however we can. And you can see that in our reviews. We have very favorable reviews. We try to be as accommodating as we can. And occasionally we have to put our foot down because there are people that will come to our service, pay us $40 total, and have had 10 items removed and their score has gone up 100 points and they want their money back, right? Like we have situations like that where we say, sorry, you logged in, you used the service, you got the benefit from it, we did the work, we're not providing a refund. But if there's an error because the bureau sent an error and something can't be disputed, if there's really a reason why somebody is not happy with service, we'll refund their money. We don't fight them.
And what would you say on average is like a reasonable timeline in terms of like expecting or anticipating some type of movement on the credit report? Because, I'll see comments too, like, hey, I signed up last week. I don't see any results. How long should someone expect, or just kind of to set that expectation of, how long it'll take for any sort of activity to occur?
I love this question because we live in a world of instant gratification, and the most common kind of product or world analogy I can use, weight loss. It doesn't happen overnight, right? You didn't ruin your credit overnight. You're not going to fix it overnight. There's no magic wand. Anyone who tells you there's a magic wand is full of it and they're lying to you. We're going to be the fastest in the industry, bar none. There's no question about it. Many of our customers see results very quickly. Some take 3 to 4 months to see true movement. We recommend at least 6 to 9 months of being on the product and using it regularly. We're also working on coming up with a kind of like a maintenance plan where you can just have the peace of mind where you're on Doely. We continue to monitor your credit. We continue to tell you if anything is coming up that needs to be disputed, but you're not paying, for example, a significant monthly fee. And so that's kind of what we recommend, is at least 6 to 9 months, and have the patience. Don't expect an overnight miracle. I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is people enroll and they expect things to happen overnight, and it's just it's not an overnight process. The bureaus have 30 to 45 days to review every single claim that you send their way. And unfortunately, right now, we're in the hands of the bureaus as much as anyone else.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I think when, you hear machine learning and AI, you might expect things to just happen a little bit quicker. But to your point, I mean, we're all at the mercy of the credit reporting agencies, right? Unless we're,
We are.
physically
I mean,
there
we don't get
pushing
me
a
wrong.
button.
We are much, much faster than any other service out there. There's no question about it. And, like I said, big part of our customer base sees results within just a month, but it may not be the moving you from a 550 to 700. It might be within the first month you see a 550 to 580, then you see 580 to 610. It's a gradual process to get you to the what we call the 700 club, right? It's especially if you're in the 500s, it takes a good 6 to 9 months to get from the 500s to the 700s. And you need to follow our guidance in terms of what to do and what not to do.
What are some of the other benefits that the Doely app offers? I know you're connected with, other partner organizations and things like that to help people build credit or even just get access to financial resources.
Yeah, so a huge benefit is definitely our marketplace because we vet out every partner on our marketplace, and the goals are items that we know are important to our consumers, right? How do you make more money? Whether it's doing surveys and getting paid to do a survey, whether it's gig jobs that you can do to get money. How do you get the money how do you make the money that you have work harder for you? How do you make sure you've got the proper coverage and insurance that you need? Are there credit building solutions that you can benefit from in order to continue to work alongside Doely to get faster results? So our marketplace is by far kind of think of it as things that we've vetted to help our consumers and try to categorize them in different ways where customers can take it or leave whatever they want, right? If they're looking for more money, if they're looking to build credit, whatever it is. The other thing is ID protection. So what you currently pay LifeLock $40 a month, we give you as part of our premium plan, and all the other kind of bells and whistles that you get with our premium plan. You get weekly reports, you get monitoring, you get ID protection, and you get a lot of personalized education. Not to mention access to our customer support team, which is experienced credit people that you can call and ask questions if you have questions specific to your credit. And if you're lucky, you might even get Tennis on the phone. So and being able to talk to someone like Tennis alone is probably worth easily $500-600 an hour. He could easily bill that out if he wanted to. So I think there's just a lot of benefits, and very soon you're going to see we're launching our AI chatbot called Hope, where you can start to ask very specific questions, and it'll take the information on your credit and along with what your goals are and your questions, and help you give you very specific personalized advice that you can do to help benefit your credit. Think of it as like your personal financial advisor.
That's excellent. While taking artificial intelligence, to the next level. So, very, very interesting. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing some of the background behind Doely and addressing some of the issues and questions that a lot of subscribers have. Any parting words for our subscribers in terms of just advice on building or restoring their credit, or just
Yeah,
advice in general?
I think in general, make sure you know what's on your credit. Don't expect a miracle. It takes time, be patient. But it's worth it. It's worth putting in the work to get your credit up, because just 10, 20 points on your credit can mean thousands of dollars over the next 10 years back into your pocket. And so there's no better solution out there than Doely. We have your back. We want to help you. We were born with the mission of helping our members get ahead financially. That's what we stand for. It's what we aim to do. So give us a try.
Absolutely. And for those who are interested, there's links in the description of the video. And real quick, can you just go over really quickly the two different subscriptions? Because I know for some who might not have the funds, can you also talk about the free version as well?
Sure, of course. So we have a free plan. Again, our mission is to help millions of Americans get ahead financially, and nobody should be bogged down with because of bad credit. And so it took us a while, but we finally launched a free plan so that anyone can access it if they choose to. We only dispute with TransUnion on the free plan. We only allow one dispute a month. on the free plan, and it does not have the full benefit of the algorithm. It's kind of like a minimal algorithm. We don't have the full. It doesn't have the full computing power that the paid plan has.
Excellent, excellent. Now, again, links in the description of the video. Again, pleasure having you on, and hopefully, we can have you on again at some point as some of these other, features and functionalities roll up. But again, we appreciate you, and until next time, take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon.